you an HR department of one trying to figure out how to balance task and strategy while keeping up with changes in regulatory compliance? Do you need a fresh outlook on old topics? Then stop what you're doing, grab your coffee, and get ready to recharge. If you have people, you have problems to solve and things to do. Your host is Brenda Neckbottle, a 20-year human resource professional, ready to explore the HR industry with veterans of business and life with fresh eyes and new ideas. Learn about the rapidly evolving changes in employment law around the country, as well as new tactics to deploy and build engagement in your workforce. If you're looking to implement new practices to make your job easier in HR, then this podcast is for you.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Best Practices in Human Resources podcast. I am here yet again, traveling across the U.S., and you know what? We are ramping up for a massive landmark that I'm really excited about. Our 100th episode is coming up. Matter of fact, that's when I am out and about traveling, in the process of recording as we speak, so it will be ready to go very soon. Super excited about it. And I'm just going to kind of leave that hanging right there. Just a little hanging right there. Anyway, speaking of hanging right there, since I am out and about, had an awesome conversation with a gentleman by the name of Corey Harris, who has been in the HR field for quite a while. This is a gentleman that I wound up connecting with through Clubhouse in one of the rooms, and he's super guy. We've hit it off. And you know what? It's the exact kind of content that we need right now. So much going on as usual, but I think right now we could all use a little good chit chat. And so I thought, you know what? We're going to kind of deviate just one more week, do something different and unique, have some fun with this. And you know what? If you don't do this, just like you need to, and that is go out, meet somebody, connect with them, have a really great conversation about good stuff. And you know what? Let's start getting things turned around in the right way. So folks, this is my interview with Corey Davis, and we will be back very shortly in our regular programming. I thought it was going to be this week, but turn of events kind of happen. And you know what? When life happens, you just slide right along with it. Make things happen, keep the sunny side up. So can't wait till I talk to you guys again. This is my chat with Corey Davis.
There are approximately 2,500 members of the U.S. Special Operations community who transition out of active duty military service every single year. The Honor Foundation has dedicated its mission to serving these elite individuals on their journey to prepare for life once they take off the uniform. In the past few years, we've begun our own journey to reach this number, launching 3 physical campuses in San Diego, California, Virginia Beach, Virginia, and near Wilmington, North Carolina, along with a virtual campus to reach members of the community anywhere on the planet. I spent 26 years in the Special Operations community as a SEAL. I graduated from THS program, I served on the board of directors, and now I'm proud to lead this organization into the future to continue assisting these transitioning service members and their families. Our dedicated team, our world-class program, and our incredible tribes of supporters are standing by to help THF alumni and future fellows, and are committed to providing the best possible support system and resources to better serve this community. Our vision for the Honor Foundation is clear: to impact every transitioning service member from the U.S. Special Operations enterprise through our programs and support, and to be a catalyst for overhauling the entire DoD transition program. It's a big task, but the community deserves it, and we're driving full steam ahead to make this a reality. If you've been inspired with what the Honor Foundation's done in the last 5 years, I welcome you all to join us as we craft the next chapter in defining what it means to serve others with honor for life.
Today we got a little bit of a different spin on the show, and it is going to be a load of fun. And oh my gosh, we've already been laughing. So what our guest doesn't know yet is that when I really start laughing, my eyes start to water. I cry all the time. It's terrible. So it's not you, Corey. It's actually me. But some of it'll be your fault. So
So funny.
I'd like to welcome Corey Davis to the show. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. I gotta tell you, Brenda, I wish we'd have just recorded this earlier.
I know it
I
was.
mean, we were just that's probably why you have tears in your eyes right now. I mean, we were
I know
I
it's
missed
starting already.
I missed the laughs. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for having me. I look forward to this this fun conversation. I
Yeah,
just
I
put it
know. We have no idea where this is going. This is great.
no, I know.
So this is the benefit, and if you don't believe me, this is the benefit you're about ready to witness of networking. Because Corey and I met in a room. It sounds so swanky. It sounds so weird. We met in a room in Clubhouse that Corey was in, and I was just brought up onto the stage. And they asked me for my comment. Of course, anybody asks me for my opinion, I'm going to give it. And we just started up this conversation. I'm like, dude, you so need to be on my podcast. He goes, sign me up. And here we are. So we're just
I know.
two HR veterans sitting around chatting today.
I mean, that's what it's all about. And for those who don't know what Clubhouse is, y'all was like, did y'all meet the club? No, it's Clubhouse is an app. Okay, I'm just let me clear the air right now. I mean, it's an app on the iPhone. And
Our significant others would be really angry if we don't clarify that.
HR, right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
So, but yeah, it was just such a great experience. And ever since then, though, Brenda, it's funny that you hop in the room, and I like to be the one that introduces you. Like I will actually secretly on the back end with the moderators.
Oh, you were
Hey, let
great.
me introduce Brenda right quick again. So
Yeah, that was awesome. I was like, oh, that's a neat idea. Corey's cheating. He's looking at your profile. And he said, we want to bring up Brenda. She's an HR professional and a podcast host. I was like, that's brilliant. Then I don't have to do it.
yeah. At one point though, some of you may feel a little famous. Like, man, they know me
did.
already. Like, yeah.
Oh, I thought that was
Check your
great.
profile.
So
That's
how
an
long?
old HR trick, gang. And for those who HR, I mean, like, you got to know your people, okay?
Yeah, that's right. Just be smooth. Just be smooth. That's all it is. That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
So how long have you been on? How long have you actually been on Clubhouse?
Probably about a month, maybe
Wow.
almost a month. But the problem is, I really been active though for probably about 2 weeks, maybe. Maybe
That's
it's a little bit
it?
longer than that. Actually, you know what? It's probably been a month
No,
and
it
a
had to have
half.
been
How
longer
about
than
that?
that.
Yeah, a month and a half. And I've been active this month, probably about 3 weeks this month. Yeah, 3 weeks this month. I mean, time goes by fast now, Brenda. I mean, it's then you get sucked in the Clubhouse conversations. But yeah, but it's a fun app. What I really like about it too is it's you use your voice. I mean,
Yes.
and you think about voice. I mean, I even think about even going back to my roles in HR. I mean, your voice mattered, right? We always tell people, hey, watch what you're always on stage, and on Clubhouse, you're on stage at any given moment. And that's what people connect with. They connect with your voice, especially in a virtual world, Brenda. That's one of the things I do like about Clubhouse, because a lot of companies right now, they're in a virtual world, and their voice matters over the phone. Like when they're communicating things that's happening in the company or directives, how they use their voice inflection matters as well. So in the Clubhouse, give you opportunity to practice. So that's been a big
That's a good way to
moment
put
for
it.
me.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And but you know what I love about it is, and this episode is not to promote Clubhouse, but it's convenient that we're doing it. What I love about it is that it's not static, and there's very little looking behind, that everybody's highlight reel now. You're actually making real connections with real people in an environment where you can have quality conversation. And I think that's what a lot of people really enjoy about that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, what I was telling you earlier, I hopped in your room and heard, you were with the doctor. I forgot his name, but
Oh, Dr. Renz, Steve Renz.
yeah, there you go. And just quality conversation. You get to listen in on the candid conversation. The good thing is you get to raise your hand and then get on the speaker's banner. But whatever, and it's just been an outlet, I guess, right now, because in the world where we're social distancing, I really don't like that term, because
I
we still
know.
want to get
It's so
connected
weird.
in some kind of way. It's a great way of getting connected with people in today's world, outside of the other social media platforms. But it's been wonderful, and I get the chance to meet you. I wouldn't have never met you. I don't know, if it had not been for that one app. And now we're connected on LinkedIn, and here we are together on this candid conversation.
Just chatting it up. It's great. But
And you got blue on. I mean, look, We
Yeah,
didn't
right.
we didn't plan this, by the way, gang.
Well, that's one thing that I love because I mean, I got pinged yesterday that a former guest actually on the show, Mitzi Perdue, who's the widow of Frank Perdue of Perdue Chicken, she
Mm.
got and she signed up on Clubhouse, got in, somebody invited her, so she accepted it. And then it notifies you that, people in your contact sphere that are signing up. So it gave me the thing like Mitzi just signed up and, come into a room and welcome her. So I went into this room and there's this other woman there, just absolutely fantastic. She's huge in the media business. And we just start talking because we're trying to see if Mitzi's going to come in. Mitzi didn't. But we got to this conversation, and all of a sudden, we're bouncing ideas off of each other. And she's like, "What an awesome convergence this is!" And I'm like, "I know, right? Tell me about it. It's pretty cool." So, I mean, it's just amazing is that when you just put yourself out there, what happens in life
Wow.
is incredible.
It was funny because last night, you've been in the room with Twan. Twan's been
Hmm.
familiar with
Ron's
him.
going to be a guest on the show too.
I would I would put it past him. I mean, and he
Um,
texted me last night. He was like, "Hey, look who I'm in the room with," and he was in the room with Grant Cardone as the moderator. I was like, "Oh, really? Hey, put me in." So I got into
just him and
Clubhouse.
Grant.
No, it was about 100 other people,
Oh
honestly.
yeah,
But
yeah. Grant is dominating these massive rooms. It's
he
crazy.
loves doing that. I
Yes,
mean,
he does,
the
and
room
he's
was
good at it.
I think it was called "How to Get Fake People to Follow You" or something. I mean, it was how to get, how are you, and then all of a sudden everybody started turning their profile to Grant. But I got in the room. He made me a moderator. So then our names were like lined up right next to Grant Cardone's name.
And how many people followed you as a result of that?
Oh, you know how that is. I mean,
Yay! Modest. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's awesome. But that's what this thing offers that you wouldn't necessarily have. So that is so cool.
yeah,
Well, so we'll do a little bit of a backstory. So that's how we met each other. And when we were talking about that particular subject, I don't even remember what the subject was. All of a sudden, Corey goes, he's like, "Oh," he says, my HR is still my number one passion. I absolutely love it. Gotta look out for my HR peeps." And I just went, "This guy is gonna be on the show. Period. Done." Love the energy, love the spirit, love this bunk. So, can you share with people what your background is and how you got into HR and what you're doing right now, please?
yeah. My background, I was in the Navy for 8 years. I was a helicopter crew chief, and then I was a recruiter for 3 years. And I moved back to the Texas area. I actually was in Virginia Beach for all the rest of the time, but got into retail once I got out of the Navy because I was already in sales because recruiting was sales. And by the way, it was the hardest thing I ever done in my life. And it was actually like HR, right? But I went to work for a company, Best Buy, and retail, just loved it. And while I was working in retail as a general store manager, I used to do the community involvement outreach for the HR leader. And then I would take on little assignments like employee engagement team leader for that for the market. All these little assignments, which really got me into the room, um, in the room where she was. Like she would take me to with her to the actual territory meetings and company meetings, and I started meeting all these HR folks. And she ended up getting another role. And when she got that other role, everybody in the whole area was like, "Man, Corey's next." I don't think anybody applied for it. So I applied for it, obviously, and ended up getting it. And never had any other understanding of HR, but I learned so much just doing the role. Ended up getting my bachelor's degree while I was doing the job, and my HR senior certified professional while I was doing it. So for any of those that's watching today, if you're working in a workspace and you say I want to get in HR and I don't know how should I, there's a route you could take. I mean, just latch on to somebody, get a mentor, get somebody that can help you get to that spot, and you can make a career out of it. I was recruited to another company after that. Did HR for them for over about 8 states. But my passion has been leadership development. So while I was HR, I was developing people, building systems to develop more people. and help with the employee engagement side. And since working in that, I was able to partner with John Maxwell, get the certification there. Just and side note, kept learning, right?
Yeah.
Every Never stop
Continuous
learning.
learning.
Never stop learning. And
Yeah.
what I end up doing is making a decision to launch my own company. So now what I do is I support companies on the from the corporate side with leadership development, executive coaching, and what I call the leadership roundtable experience, which is the best experience you possibly can do. I did a lot of roundtables. I know, Brenda, you probably did a whole lot of roundtables in your career, right? Don't you love them?
Had a few.
Yeah, yeah, and this leadership roundtable experience that I now have access to with it's really the John Maxwell leadership game, and it is the best experience possible. I wish I'd have had this when I was doing those roundtables in HR. I would have just the people would have loved it. It's a fantastic resource. So that's really the main thing I do with the companies now. But yeah, it's just been a good ride, and enjoy meeting people. This is different. Launching your own business is different, but I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah.
very fulfilling. It's very
Yeah.
fulfilling.
That's awesome. So what have you been seeing out in the world with COVID in the playground that you're in now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I end up having to do is a lot of my work has turned virtual, just so different from a lot of other people. The good thing is because I was building this business while working, I was doing a lot of virtual things off work time, like at night or on the weekends. So the switch wasn't bad. I was able to do a couple of in-person events, but luckily during the first part of the COVID crisis, I was working at a company in HR, implementing all of the procedures. So going back into the company, I had an in-person thing with that was helpful because I can actually follow the procedures. But what I am seeing though is one of the things I do notice though it's leadership is a lot different now. You know, engaging your workforce is a lot different now because you got to take a whole new step. Like it seems to me that for, the days of just not being able to fully train our people the right way are just over. Like if the customers need and want more.
Yeah.
The people who work need and want more as well. So this is a critical role and a critical time to be in HR.
Yeah. And I agree. And I think it's critical and important that people in HR realize that they need to focus on their own development as well
Yeah.
because everything is changing. I mean, this is like the biggest case study,
Yes.
active case study we could have possibly had in any of our careers is,
Uh,
is to have a pandemic to where we have to figure out new laws, new ways of working, and it's all happening at the same time.
yeah. And it's I love the case study talk because I use that today in the business. Like, hey, you know what? Guess what? The great thing is try something because this is something brand new.
Yeah.
It's a new world. But from a case study standpoint, is like, yeah, this is a I would just tell you this is a case study in leadership.
Hmm.
Like if you really want to know, this is a true case study in leadership.
Yep.
It's how we lead, it's how effective we really are. This right here, this whole conglomerate right now is that case study of how we lead, how we impact people, how we outreach, how do we stay connected in the world that may seem disconnected. I think being connected to people is so much more. There's we teach this principle in our leadership groups. It's you cannot remain the same, act the same, be the same in the world that does not and will not remain the same. So
Exactly.
you got to change. And I like what you said. It's continuing learning experience. You're never at a place where you know everything anyway. So just continue to just stay open to learn. That's one of the things I did in my life, in my career.
Yeah. Something that I've noticed, just in business, which is not a bad thing, is that right as soon as I'm getting to a point where it's like I'm now expecting it. And that's like right where I feel like I'm getting somewhat proficient in something that I'm working on, or I've got like a level of confidence, then some new opportunity comes out like Clubhouse and it changes things. It's like, crap, now I got to figure this out. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but it's like, oh my God, can I just like have 2 weeks?
Oh,
Can I just have 2 weeks of stuff being like just standardized? And then I'll go on. And COVID hasn't provided us that.
no,
Not at all. And it's
no,
we just constantly have to be on in this active mindset that nothing is going to be constant for a while.
no. No, you always have to stay open. That's one thing that I did learn is just like every day is just another learning experience. I mean,
Totally.
it's every single day. I mean, wow. And actually, I had a bout of COVID. I mean, that was
Did you
part of the
really?
reason why. Yeah, that was part of the reason why when I first started on Clubhouse, about a week into my Clubhouse adventure, we were gonna schedule a call. I think it was Christmas Eve, and then I just wasn't feeling well, and end up testing positive for COVID. Went through that for about 3 weeks. That went through my household. So
Oh,
actually, it gave me another different understanding. Like, hey, this is something that you really gotta make sure you pay attention to, be aware of. And that was a big learning experience for myself. But for those who are, who are like in that process, my heart goes out to you as well. And if you're listening to me, listening right now, and you have COVID, we are hopeful that you get better soon right now. So, but Brenda, I can tell you that the workforce would be a whole lot different from what I experience right now today than what I was in before because of the nuances of COVID. But I do know what doesn't change is how do you connect with people,
yeah.
connecting with people. That never changes.
No, it doesn't. So I love the transition, Corey. That was great. So if you could go back through your career in HR and call out one or two top things that you did to connect with your people, what would you say it would be?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
That's a deep one.
I mean, how you get so deep all of a sudden? So I think it's for one is what you saw me doing with Clubhouse, right? Before I go into any work environment, I always figure out, okay, who's working the day. So that way I'll get their names and I'll try to get their faces, especially if we can have a running total of their faces too. But being able to say somebody's name, I think that's the sweetest thing that anybody can hear. And for me in HR, I've always just done that. It's like, hey, how do I call this person's name as many times as I can? Because it also helps me remember. I'm not the best with names. That's why I keep repeating Brenda. I hope I don't call you Kim or something later.
Hey, look, I'm used to Deborah, Linda, Barbara. I mean,
Whatever.
it's right. Whatever.
So yeah,
Hey,
so
you.
just meeting somebody and just connecting with them, and asking them about their day and really intently listening when they say
Yes. Yeah.
I guess that's probably the other piece is listening, right?
Yeah.
Is listening to what they say, listen to how they say it, because what they say and how they say can communicate so much value to you where you can actually intently understand that if something's needs to be more, explored more or not. But I think a lot of times I would just tell you, and sometimes in my career, I was moving so fast that I missed those moments. And today, what I'll do is I'll go back and just settle in. There's a quote. There's a thing you probably heard it say, "Hey, walk slowly through the crowd." I remember I was with a company and they were saying, "Hey, can you come watch see what's going on?" And then they'll say, "Hey, what?" They asked me at the end, "Hey, what would John Maxwell say?" Because they knew I was a John Maxwell certified coach. And I said, "Well, John would say, walk slowly through the crowd." And it went well. It went well. They loved it, and they said, "Yeah, we can do that. We'll walk slowly through the crowd." And about 3 weeks later, I was sitting there thinking about it and reminiscing on it. And I said, you don't really walk. It's not just about walking slowly through a crowd, but what it is so you can listen intently. So whatever's affecting the crowd affects you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when it affects you, here's what I found out. When it affects you, you make the change.
Yes.
And that's what real change happens. Like you make the change when it affects you. So
Yeah. That's
sometimes
awesome.
we're just too far from the problem and we don't really understand that, hey, we got to make the change to solve that problem. But when you walk slowly enough, and you allow and you see what's going on, you can really get affected by it, and then that's where it pricks your heart. You say, I need to make a change here.
Yeah, I'm on it. That's awesome. That's really cool. So, what's in store for you next?
Well, for me, I mean, just continue to build. I mean, I have a leadership company now, and want to build. I really want to partner with companies and build culture. One of the big focuses that we do is we do all of this work for culture. You see, culture actually controls everything, and it's about what we say, what we do, all of the things that happen. And I know to structure our culture method under 3 questions. What is expected? What should be corrected and what should be celebrated? And I think, for me, I found that when we can define the culture throughout those 3 questions, that's where I spend a lot of my time. A majority of the time right now is helping people with culture. That's where we do the leadership roundtables and the different work we do. But we like to start culture from the top, Brenda. I mean, I think a lot of times in companies that we want them to do it, right? Hey, the people that's working. But really, if it's not permeated from the executive staff on down, then it doesn't really make sense, and it's not meaningful because it doesn't stick, and everybody's not doing it at that point.
Right, exactly. So, have you ever, since you're on the John Maxwell side of life, have you ever read his book, The 17 Essential Qualities of a Team Player?
The 17, I haven't read. I read the 17 Laws of Teamwork.
This is amazing.
I gotta check that one out.
Yeah, it's an easy read, but that's what it looks like when I read.
You are like reading that thing. Like you got like.
Oh yeah, this is how I read a book. I annotate and this is actually a book that I've used in a number of different writings that I've submitted, both in my college and throughout my career. But this is just absolutely fantastic. And if you really want to build on culture, you also have to build on and really understand or grow at the individual level too. And it's one of the things that I love about this book is that it gives you competencies. I look at it as like competencies. So for instance, it talks about adaptable, and it helps people understand more about what it is that adaptable means. So if you won't change for the team may change for you. And collaborative, working together precedes winning together, right? But one of the best things that I love about this book as a whole, and that that once you look at these competencies in this book, now we've actually put an actual description to the word team player.
Yeah.
And so and I've talked about this on the podcast before, but what this does is that it actually allows you to understand what are the aspects that go into being a team player. So now it's defined. Now people can understand it. And if you work from this, and I've done this before in the past, but I'll do it with you because this is fun. So, and I do this in my workshops that I give. So if you could name the one competency, single word, that is the most important to you as a team player, what would it be?
For some reason, teamwork comes to mind. I mean, that's just, but
right. But
player, but I would say skills.
Can you be more specific?
What's
the most important thing to you in a teammate?
In a teammate, I would say being able, if it's one word, I'm trying to find that what I just put in my mind is one word. Either character, loyalty, something like that. I mean, I think.
Okay. Let's roll with loyalty. How's that?
Yeah.
That's a good one. All right. So that's the most essential quality to you in a team player. So to the person sitting 3 cubicles down or in 2 states over now in this remote work environment, right, that could actually be communication. And for somebody else, it could be showing up on time. For me, it's competency.
Yeah.
I need to work with people who are competent in the job that they're performing. Now, can you see that teamwork as a whole is too generic because it means something different to everybody else?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I love about this book is that it brings that conversation to light.
Yeah, you know, and it reminds me of I read it a while back. It was the 21 qualities of a leader. I
Yeah.
think he broke that down like that as well,
Yeah.
which is true, though, Brenda, because you got to look at it too, because we all look at our different with our own lenses on,
Hmm.
and we define what teamwork is, we define what results are, we define what a good work environment is by our lens, which is you know, I don't think a lot of times we think through that in our work environments too. So it's how you're viewing one thing and how I view another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It's pretty interesting when you look at it from that context.
yeah. I got to check that one out because I've never read that book. I mean,
Easy read.
I've read um, is the 17 Laws of Teamwork, but never
Yeah.
read the qualities of a team player. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I love the 17 Laws of Teamwork. That one is a great one to do with groups, but I love the individual method of, hey, how do I break that down into what qualities that, you know, I can latch on to as a team player. So
Right. Yeah.
good stuff.
It is good stuff, huh? Who knew? When you called me up to the stage, who knew?
And you were, yeah, look, I didn't know you was a fan as well. You know, Maxwell
Oh, yeah.
fan. He has them everywhere. Sold quite a few books in this.
Yeah, it's pretty great stuff. That's awesome. Well, Corey, it's been awesome having you on here. So if people want to find you, where can they find you? Obviously on Clubhouse.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can find me on Clubhouse if you go on there. But you can find me on LinkedIn, Corey Davis. I mean, I'm not too hard to find on LinkedIn. For those who are on Instagram, it's Corey Dave, DAV.is. Any of those would get you to where you can find me in other platforms. Like I have my links on those platforms where you can get to my websites and kind of check more about us. But yeah, that's the easiest way: LinkedIn and Instagram.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it. This has been great.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I mean, a pleasure to laugh with you and have some fun and even learn about a new book. I mean,
Yeah.
so, appreciate you, Brenda. Thank you.
You too, sir.